On the morning of April 30th, 1975, the North Vietnamese Communist soldiers stormed Saigon, the capital of Vietnam. Their merciless tanks plowed through the iron gates to the presidential palace. One of the soldiers raised the North Vietnamese flag from a palace balcony. This signaled the death of South Vietnam and the official end of the Vietnam War. Only hours earlier, for the South Vietnamese, chaos ensued as the panicked citizens sought to flee Vietnam and seek refuge by any means available. Little did the crew of the USS Kirk know that they would play an unanticipated yet crucial leadership role in the rescue of these refugees. Having already evacuated the remaining Americans in Vietnam from the roof of the American embassy, the U.S. Navy left the war-ravaged country. Suddenly, Captain Paul Jacobs of the USS Kirk received a surprising command from Admiral Donald Whitmire. The USS Kirk was to return to Vietnam. Admiral Whitmire was on the USS Blue Ridge, and both his ship and the USS Kirk were part of the 7th Fleet of the U.S. Navy.
Message from the 7th Fleet himself would like to speak to you, come alongside. You get your attention. So I had thought maybe we had done something wrong, not realizing we were being picked for a special mission.
He told Jacobs, "We're going to have to send you back to the Vietnamese Navy. We forgot them, and if we don't get them or any part of them, they're all probably going to be killed." Whitmire also explained that the USS Kirk would be dispatched to Con Son Island, off the mainland of Vietnam, and that Jacobs would receive orders from a civilian. That civilian was Richard Armitage, a 30-year-old man on a mission. Armitage was a former intelligence operative and lieutenant commander of the U.S. Navy working with the South Vietnamese and was a fluent speaker of Vietnamese. Because of his disagreement with the Paris Peace Accords, Armitage decided to resign from his position. The Paris Peace Accords, signed on January 27, 1973, was an agreement between North Vietnam, South Vietnam, and the United States, led by Henry Kissinger, Nixon's national security advisor. It included a ceasefire and withdrawal of all American troops and military bases, in return for all prisoners of war being released from North Vietnam. Instead of directly fighting alongside them, the U.S. would now supply South Vietnam with $1 billion in military material so they could fight on their own. However, now that the end of South Vietnam was evident, the Pentagon sent Armitage back to Vietnam on a mission to destroy that same Navy material to prevent the communist North Vietnamese from stealing it. Armitage consulted Captain Kim Do, an old friend of his, who also happened to be the South Vietnamese Navy's Deputy Chief of Staff. They collaborated on devising a covert arrangement with the purpose of saving the remainder of the South Vietnamese Navy after South Vietnam fell. The plan was to go to Con Son Island.
It was close to most of our unit, either from Saigon or from the Mekong River. Also, our people are very familiar with that island. It has a very well sheltered bay.
Once aboard the USS Kirk, Armitage was ushered in to meet the officers.
He said to me, "I'm not used to having armed civilians come aboard the ship in the dead of night," and I said, "I'm not used to coming aboard armed in the dead of night, but I've got a job to do at work."
On the dawn of May 1st, the USS Kirk and its crew of 260 arrived at Con Son Island, where 32 South Vietnamese Navy ships and dozens of cargo ships, barges, and fishing boats filled with refugees approached them. Around 33,000 people were packed together in the dilapidated vessels, all desperate to escape. Many were sick, wounded, and dehydrated, and some were pregnant. There were multiple infants and children. One of the cargo ships began to sink under the weight of so many refugees.
So many people on the decks. One of the crew members said, "The only way I can describe it is if you take a Hershey bar and you put it on a hot sidewalk in the summer and come back an hour later and see the ants crawling all over it. That's what those ships look like." Captain Jacobs is alone. He's got this 430 some odd foot ship. He's got 2 corpsmen. That's his medical staff. 2 corpsmen, a chief and a 3rd class. That's it.
Stephen Burwinkle, the USS Kirk's hospital corpsman, tended to the injured and led them off the sinking ships. The refugees on the sinking vessels were transferred to other ships. The USS Kirk's chief engineer, Hugh Doyle, explained, "Our 88 engineers made numerous house calls to many of the South Vietnamese Navy ships in the formation, helping Vietnamese engineers repair engines, generators, and pumps. There was real cooperation, sailor to sailor, American to Vietnamese." With the empty, unusable ships left behind, the USS Kirk led the way for the flotilla of assorted sea vessels through the South China Sea and to the Philippines. These 32 South Vietnamese Navy ships were arranged in 2 parallel lines of 16 ships each and spaced 1 mile apart. On the way out of Kong Song, the USS Cook met up with the USS Kirk and brought food, water, and more medical care to the refugees. During the course of the journey to the Philippines, other Navy ships including the USS Tuscaloosa, the USS Lipan, the USS Barber County, USS Deliver, USS Abnaki, and USS Mobile moved to and from the USS Kirk's flotilla escort. Judging by the logs of this fleet, the Kirk was the definite leader. The refugees were escorted over a period of 6 days. Everything seemed to be going according to plan until the USS Kirk reached the Philippines. Jacobs was informed that the government in Manila would not allow South Vietnamese vessels into their port for diplomatic reasons. The Philippines wished to avoid conflict with the new communist Vietnam and advised Jacobs to turn back. Armitage and Captain Do decided to hoist up American flags and lower the Vietnamese ones to symbolize the transfer of the ship back to the U.S. Following the announcement of this plan, a frenzied scramble for 30 American flags ensued, and 2 Kirk officers were assigned to board and command each Vietnamese ship. Rick Sauter, part of the Kirk crew who commanded one of these ships, added, "That was the last vestige of South Vietnam, because the Navy ship is sovereign territory, and so that was the last sovereign territory of the Republic of Vietnam." As the yellow flags with red stripes were lowered and the star-spangled banners were raised, it was a mournful moment for the South Vietnamese. The ships were admitted into Subic Bay on May 7th. This was only the start of a tough and lengthy odyssey for the Vietnamese refugees. From here, they would go to Guam, and from Guam to America, living in various refugee camps. Thanks to the leadership of the members of the USS Kirk and the ships that supplied them, tens of thousands of refugees were saved and given the opportunity to start life anew in another country. The crew of the USS Kirk may not have fought on a valiant mission of warfare and destruction, but their leadership in this major humanitarian aid mission proved to be an even greater accomplishment.